Everyone, right, get my breath. Today I've done a bit more work on the arcade machine. You should be able to see a difference already. It's now got 6 buttons per player. This side is the spacing's alright, I think. We got to remember is that it was only this one, and this one were in place. So they've got quite a large gap between here, but I've added in that button, and that button. So their spacing's a little bit closer, but it's always going to be a bit funny because these have already been drilled into place, and kind of limits the amount of room you can add extra buttons in. Say this one's a little bit tight; it's very close to the back side of this joystick, but it fits, so it's not too far for your hands. You do get used to it. This side was more of a problem. I can't get away from this because of this ashtray here. They kind of it's like when somebody's writing a sign. They start with big letters, lots of big space in here, and they start to slowly run out of space at the end. So the space in between this button and player 2 is fairly large. Obviously fits a button in nicely. The gap between here and the ashtray is small, so what I've had to do, as you can see, is just squash this button up here. It's still, you can still get to it easy enough. It just doesn't match, which sucks, but what can I do? I can't make a new metal control panel. So that's one of the major things I wanted to do today, was when I came up here, was to drill these holes. What I did, I actually did this one the other day. It took an hour and a half. And I'll just briefly explain how I did it, and that is a way not to do it. I drew holes round. Well, I knew the sizing, so I made, I figured out the spaces. So I got my pencil line. So what I did was get my metal drill bit, because the hole, like the drill bit I used to make arcade sticks and stuff out of wood, is for wood. It's a big spatula, sort of spade-ended blade. But it doesn't touch metal at all, so it's not going to work. So what I did was use my biggest drill bit for metal pieces and drilled like a pepper pot hole round. And then I used my Dremel and then basically tried and cut the little linkages between each drill hole out. And it took forever. But I'd started, so I had to persevere with it. And I got it done. It's in there. It's a little bit... It was just a pain. Light was going. I went through 2 grinding wheels. So that wasn't going to happen. So what I could highly recommend is getting one of these. Get it to focus in. This one's a Wix branded one, so that's all they had at the time. But it's a 28mm. Can you see it there? 29mm. The holes I use for the wooden arcade sticks is 28, but that's called a hole saw, and you'll need to buy one of those, which is 29mm, and this bit here, which is like your metal drill, and it screws that into place. So overall, that cost about £7, and it breezed through drilling these extra holes. So I'll show you the control panel. It's looks messy, but I've got these kind of tie wrap blocks now. These are brilliant. I've never used them before, and they just hold your wiring into place really nicely. So, so this is the back side of it. So you can see here, this is quite close to this. Obviously, it's not going to interfere with the movement. It's just close to the base. Same here, but it's pretty. I think it's quite neat, really, for the. It's starting to pull up on the jammer harness if I try to give myself any extra wire, and I don't want to be extending wires here. So it is a little bit of a rat's nest. I've tried to bunch them together. It's fine. No one can see it though. So also, let me switch my light on. I've probably showed you before, but these are my little red, green and blue switches. Pots for doing the colour on the telly. And this is a little thing I thought about. I had a brainwave the other day. And added in. It's a little double pole, double throw switch. So basically, I'll just quickly explain why I've done that. When I made a 6-button arcade stick, you have A, B, C, then these are your kick harnesses. So these aren't hooked up to your jammer harness anymore. They're hooked straight up to your game. So you only have A, B, C, right? What I have, which is in that box there, is my Neo Geo MVS system, which uses A, B, C, and D. They're all on the jammer harness. So when I built my first 6-button arcade stick, I didn't bother with a D, and then when I came to play my Neo Geo games, I couldn't do heavy hits. So my second arcade stick I built has 7 buttons on it. So you got your D and then your kick harnesses. But space is really limited on this, and I wanted to keep it 6 buttons for each player. So what I did was I got a double pole, double throw switch. It's mounted in place via cable ties to these little bases, and it's nice and solidly in place. Solid enough. I don't want to be. I can't hot glue to wood or anything. So what happens is here, the middle points come down and link up to, say, button 6. We'll call it that, or heavy kick. So that what you have, one of those comes down on one side, and on the other side of the switch, that middle one goes off to player 2. So here we go. This is your white. My harness is white. That's actually D, button D on the harness. So if I throw this over to this side, it will convert this button down here to a D. So you can see it will go A, B, C, D. Same on here. So I did it as that because they're not in a line, but it'll be easy enough to reach. And if I flick it back over, these, this wire over from this side is from the kick harness. So that is heavy kick for player 1, I think it is. That's coming straight off the harness. So the this button, when you press it and it grounds out, it's going to zoom up here. It's going to go into there, and it's going to go, out that way down to the kick harness and tell the game it's a kick. So basically, I've just done it so I can convert this button to whichever I want, CPS2 or Neo Geo. So I'm going to flick it over and I'll just show you. There we go. Different game today. I also got a shorter SCART lead. Came today off from Amazon, and I've put that in there and tie wrapped it all into place. So it's a lot neater in there now. Doesn't look it, must admit. There's a few hanging wires, but it's all out of the way. Here we go. Coin it up, because it's quite loud. Street Fighter Alpha 3, so you can probably hear my CPS2 game in there. So if I do a credit for both, here we go. So that's heavy kick. I'm going to do the same on here.
Round 1, fight!
Player 1 has all his movement. Player 2. Player 1 punch. There you go. A, B, C. Light kick, medium, and heavy. Player 2, 2, 3. Medium and heavy. Down here, I realised when you're drilling out holes, don't leave your buttons in here. It's got metal flake or something in there. It's jammed my button down. It's a bit boned. I've got to buy a new one now. But that is connected to light kick. So as you can see, kick, kick, kick. So now what I'm going to do, switch it over, and there we go. It's redirecting to D on the jammer harness. Switch it back, kicks again. So there you go. Oh, it's quite a long video. So what I'm going to do next is put my MVS board in and check that switch works completely. Catch you on the next update.